Hey guys, happy Monday. Welcome to Monday Motivation. Welcome to my garden. And today we are going to be learning about some life lessons from the garden. Okay, so first let me tell you, if you do not have a garden, I would highly encourage you to do so. Even if it's a porch garden, there's just something amazing about getting into God's creation, putting our hands into the soil, putting a seed in there and watching him work. It is absolutely amazing. Tending it and caring for it and seeing it bloom, whether it's a flower or produce delicious juicy tomatoes or crunchy cucumbers or whatever it is. It's absolutely amazing and it is so rewarding, so therapeutic. So as a coach, I highly recommend you to get out in the sunshine, in the fresh air, and spend some time off the screen, off of YouTube, and watching God do just such amazing things and being in creation. So I'm going to do a panoramic view and keep talking through my garden here for you. I'm sitting here on the bench and this is my view. We have a compost over there, a couple raised beds, and then all these trellises and everything. There's our chicken coop over there. We put up some panels there today. Our greenhouse, our blueberry patch, our raspberries back there, our pea trellises, and then over here is our strawberry patch that is an absolute weed disaster right now, but one thing at a time here, people. So anyway, that is my beautiful garden filled with all kinds of amazing veggies, and the hope that spring brings is such a magical thing, and I just love it. So there's my plug to go get yourself a garden, even if it's not one like mine. Even like I said, starting with a patio garden and putting seeds in the ground is just such an amazing thing. But as we have been working in our garden, there have been some lessons that have come up with my children that I thought, man, God not only refreshes my soul in the garden and draws me to him, but he works through the things that I'm doing to, like I said, not only teach me, but then to transfer those lessons to my children. So I'm going to take you over here so that you can see it. So we have been mulching everything and trying to beat the weeds and kind of get things taken care of before the weeds completely take over for the season. And here we have 4 rows of berries, raspberries and blackberries, golden berries, and all of that sawdust we edged and brought in and did all of that. And it was so much work, but it was so worth it, and I'm so excited. Maybe I'll bring you back out here so that you can see the amazing fruit that all of these will bear. But you can see this little trailer right here. We had a 4-wheeler attached to it, and my 8-year-old son was driving it. And as you can see, there's not much room to turn around up here. So I had him load up the sawdust from the tractor, bring it down on the 4-wheeler, and bless his heart, he is learning to drive the 4-wheeler. He has not done it that long. We just kind of let him start doing it. And he's just not that great of a driver. And on top of that, I put him in a scenario for him. I didn't do it on purpose for him to fail, of course, but I asked him to do something really difficult. So this turn right here is just pretty tight. So anyway, we were sitting on the swings over there, and he brought the 4-wheeler up here, and he couldn't quite make this turn. And the back wheel absolutely destroyed this blueberry bush. He literally ran right over top of it. Literally ran right over top of it. And the poor guy, I could tell as soon as he did it, he was like, oh no, I could just instantly see he realized what he had done wrong. But then listen to this lesson, okay? And this is not a poor reflection of my other children. They have lessons to learn too. But of course, as older sisters will do, they were like, what are you doing? You know, so here he's got 3 older sisters just absolutely berating him. What the heck are you doing? What are you thinking? You shouldn't be doing that. And he's kind of in a panic because he can see that the back tire is going to run over it. And he's not quite sure how to get himself out of the situation. Can't quite go back down the hill like he was hoping. And he's just kind of stuck. And here he's listening to his sisters over here absolutely yell at him. And then, of course, the little brothers are like, getting in on it too. And like, what's going on, And I started yelling. And I was like, JD, just listen to your mother's voice. And then as soon as I said that, I was like, ooh, okay. Thank you, Lord. Use me. So this is what I said to him. I said, JD, there are going to be times in your life where people are yelling at you and calling you names and saying that you're an idiot for following Christ and that you're stupid and all these things. And you have to learn to ignore and tune out every other voice and all the noise and tune your ears into the Father and listen to only what He has to say. So, I eventually, and everything happened so quickly, but then, I reprimanded his sisters and was like, knock it off. He's just trying to learn and stuff. But it was so neat to see him, like the light bulb clicked and he was like, oh, because I was like, it's okay, buddy. Like, you made a mistake. It's fine. You're going to get it. It's okay. Like, we can buy another blueberry bush. No big deal. And he was hearing encouragement from his mother, but discouragement and hurtful things from his sisters. And when he heard that he was allowed to tune out all those other voices and that he could focus on the one voice that he should listen to, and then when I related it to God, he was like, oh, I got it, Mom. So I'm so thankful for moments like that in the garden where we get to learn and I get to turn my children's hearts to the Father. So that was one life lesson in the garden from this week. And then the other one was, actually, I think there were 2. But the first one that's coming to mind is my younger son was pulling weeds around some flowers, perennial flowers we have growing. And it had been raining here, and we try to pick weeds after a hard rain because it's easier to weed and pull out the roots. Because if you know anything about gardening, if you only pull the top of the weeds off and leave the roots, they're going to come back even worse than they were before. So as we were sitting here pulling the weeds together and trying to get the biggest root, and who could get the biggest root and not, pull the tops off, I looked to him and I said, buddy, this is kind of like our life. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, what would happen if we would just let all these weeds keep growing? And he kind of thought for a second. He's like, well, there'd probably be more than the plant. And I said, you're right. And then what would happen if there's more weeds than the plant? He said, well, it would probably kill the plant. We wouldn't have any more flowers. I said, that's exactly right. So we have to weed bad things out of our life. We have to weed out the bad music, and maybe there's bad friends that are being a bad influence, or what if there's shows on TV that are coming on, or books that we're reading, or messages that we're listening to, things that we're seeing, as we drive by in the car, and we have to turn our eyes and protect what comes in. I said, if we let those little weeds grow, what's going to happen? And he's like, well, it would overtake us. And I said, you're exactly right. So we have to take time constantly. It's not you get to pull that weed out and you're never going to see another weed by your perennial flowers. It's something that you have to continually do and make sure that your life is not being overtaken by all the weeds, all the bad things that can pull us away from God. So I thought that one was cool. So that one I have taught some of my older children, but it was neat to see the younger son who had not been taught that to actually have his hands in the dirt pulling out weeds. Because sometimes you teach your children analogies and stories and things, but it doesn't really click as if you're actually doing something and like their hands are on it, and you know, it just makes it real, I guess, to them, and the lesson sticks more. So it was neat to see his little brain be like, oh, I got it, you know. But then a new lesson that I thought was really neat was my oldest daughter, who biological daughter, who loves arranging flowers and is trying to grow this little business for herself of cut flower garden. And she would love to have a whole, you know, giant field that people come and pick. And so it's a process to teach her patience and also work ethic, as nothing big starts out big. It's always small, and there's steps to get big in anything, whether it's a problem or something good. But she was planting these flowers, seeds, and she was like, it just seems so ridiculous that I'm doing, because she's low on money right now. And she's like, it just seems ridiculous that I'm planting all of these, you know, little seeds. And she's like, and I'm not going to have any money for later. And I said, well, this is what God does. Speak of her. There she is. You say hi. I'm doing a Monday motivation video, and I'm telling them about what I taught you about when we sow seeds, we want instant gratification. And sometimes it takes a while for those seeds that we are planting to come to fruition and for us to get a harvest, and that we have to be patient, right? And trust God in the waiting. And sometimes we have to put the work in, and the results aren't right away, are they?
No.
Being patient. Yeah. Hang on one second. Children always come before work, ladies. Anyway, so that was a lesson that was for an older child, and because younger children are so instant and everything's an emergency and everything's dealing with right now. But then as they get older, we have to teach them that not everything is right now, and you have to be patient, and you plant seeds, you know, maybe of its purity, and teaching them to wait and for the right spouse that God's going to bring them. Or maybe it's growing a business and they feel like they're putting all of this work in, and there's not anything being, they're not reaping any benefits right now. But God tells us that we shall not give up if we will reap a harvest if we don't give up. So we have to keep sowing. We have to keep working and trust Him that He will bring a harvest. So thank you for joining me in my garden. It is absolutely my happy place. There's so much work that's done, but so much beauty and rest in it too. And I just absolutely love it. And the children learn so many lessons, not only life lessons about God, but work ethic. I mean, I had my boys shoveling hard today, and raking and plowing and all the things, and they learn to push, and they learn that if we don't weed and mulch all those beautiful berries, we don't get any raspberries, and you don't get to put them on your, in your smoothies and on top of your yogurt. And we need to take care of these things. So it's just such a special place. And yes, there are times where we're sweating and so hot and hate it in the moment, but then, later when we're all cold off and relaxed after dinner, we come back and swing, and it's just a beautiful thing. So thank you so much for joining me in Monday Motivation, and we'll see you here next time. Bye.